command you. Go to the living lands, find the roots, and if necessary, sever them.
Avowed is a first-person action RPG game set in the fantasy world of Eora, the same universe as Obsidian's Pillar of Eternity series. You take on the role of an envoy from the Adir Empire investigating a mysterious plague on the island of the Living Lands. The game blends magic and melee, exploration, and choice-driven storytelling, hallmarks of what has made Obsidian stand out in the past with games like Fallout New Vegas, The Pillars of Eternity, and The Outer Worlds.
He still did it!
I've got a bad feeling about this. It doesn't make sense. What if she murdered that soldier and she's just trying to cover it up?
While I've never played The Pillars of Eternity, I walked into this with a fresh perspective, hoping to be compelled to check out the CRPG series when I'm finished. The combat in Avowed stands out as one of the main highlights. It's fun, with fluid movement and impactful feeling mechanics like dual-wielding swords, elemental spells, bows, guns, hammers, and spears. You can mix and match your weaponry to your liking, which is nice. And the inclusion of parkour adds a layer of verticality and freedom to battles and exploration. The fusion of first-person action with these RPG elements is a clear strength. The Living Lands is visually beautiful, filled with lush landscapes, glowing flora, a wide color palette, and a day-night cycle. Obsidian's knack for creating detailed, lore-heavy worlds really shines through here, offering players a backdrop that's worth exploring even when it doesn't fully feel alive. Exploring the world was actually the most fun I had with this game. I found myself skipping the main quests to explore, tackle bounties, and go treasure hunting, which stunk most of my 95 hours. I was real disappointed with the limited variety of enemy types that were provided. Once you've had your run-in with your share of Zarups, spiders, specters, and bears, you've seen them all. Also, looking at the map by the end game, there were still many areas that looked like explorable zones, and you never go there. So Obsidian either has some DLC planned for the future, or they just ran out of time, and I fear it's the latter. The Living Lands aesthetic and lore depth are strengths that reward exploration. From ancient ruins to bioluminescent jungles, the environment invites curiosity and complements the lore that Obsidian provides. There are multiple dialogue options and branching paths, especially tied to your specific class that allows for multiple playthroughs. At times the dialogue felt long-winded, with a glossary provided to help you define the jargon used throughout. The banter back and forth between companions is fun for a bit, but quickly grows stale. It also doesn't help that I didn't gravitate towards most of the cast throughout the game. Kai seemed to be the companion propelled to take the spotlight from the rest of the cast, as his voice is well known from Garrus of the Mass Effect games. However, I was never drawn to a story arc, and neither for Marius or Yatsley for that matter. All were overall very uninteresting, Marius especially. Giada stood out to me as the only character that truly resonated with me throughout the journey, as she had a strong sense and passion for how she deals with life around her.
How can you ignore what's right in front of you? The Dream Scourge is here, in the soil, and it's killing us.
The overarching narrative, while interesting at first, ends up feeling very lackluster. It wastes its potential, delivering a by-the-numbers fantasy adventure that fails to innovate or surprise. The plague investigation plotline, while serviceable, lacks the gripping hooks of Obsidian's better works. While the writing is strong in isolation, the story's pacing and payoff falter. It leans too heavily on familiar fantasy tropes without subverting them, weakening its overall impact. The decisions you make feel at first like it could have some real weight and consequences, but the game takes way too long for those balls to drop. Also, the towns you visit, while populated, don't feel alive at all. NPCs don't walk around, they don't have timely schedules, and you don't hear any chatter or banter amongst them. They just stand there in the same spots like stop signs, hoping you approach them for some interaction. The progression systems felt poorly balanced as well. Upgrades feel uneven, with the fighter class serving more as a utility class to buff yourself and interact with the environment, instead of an arsenal of destructive melee attacks to handle your foes. You don't even get skill points with every level, which felt disappointing. The Ranger class has a plethora of ranged buffs, evasive maneuvers, and creature summons to mix things up. Magic in the game overshadows all the other skills, undermining the combat's potential for a truly wide variety of options to make combat even more engaging. I found going hybrid as a steel mage, mixing magic with melee provided the most breadth of fun for me, versus sticking with a single class type, which felt boring. So, who should play this game? Well, I would say action RPG enthusiasts who enjoy Elder Scrolls or Fallout. It does give a good sense of what Elder Scrolls 6 could look and feel like in the future. I would also say Obsidian fans craving more Pillars of Eternity lore, because this game really has it in spades. Also, if you're looking for a cozy game that allows you to get lost in the world to explore and find treasure, that was the majority of my time here. I would definitely skip this game if you're expecting a gripping narrative, because you're just not going to find it here. Anyone looking for a revolutionary RPG experience that changes the game, it's not here. If you're looking for decisions that have impact, you're going to be waiting quite a while into the story before you start to see the consequences for your actions. By the time those consequences were revealed, I didn't even care anymore. Avowed is a difficult game to recommend, especially at the $70 price tag. While it serves to provide Pillars fans some additional lore in the world of Eora, it really stumbles with an uninspired story with no highs and many lows. Among other RPGs, Avowed struggles to stand out. It's lacking a bold sense of identity to really differentiate itself from giants like Skyrim or Fallout. It plays itself safe, missing the experimental edge of Obsidian's past hits. In my opinion, this limits its appeal in a crowded RPG market. It's aggressively mid, with a flawed journey into the living lands that I would reserve to playing on Game Pass before committing any money towards it. In playing Avowed, I was hoping that it would pique my interest enough to checking out the Pillars of Eternity games, and in that regard it has. As far as Avowed is concerned, it's not a title I'll be revisiting anytime soon.